talking like they're glossing over Texas A&M, and A&M is nobody to play with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely. I agree with what you're saying as far as setting the tone for the season. I'll push back on one thing. I think if they win, it absolutely sets the tone for the season. I think if they lose, I think depending on how they lose, if they go get blown out, that could set a bad tone for the season. But if they lose a close game at Kyle Field, in that first week with a new quarterback, new coordinator, I think the message is going to be, guys, it's a long season, 12-team playoff. We got everything in front of us. We can get by. And I think Marcus is the type of guy that can rally that locker room around him and can get them back on track. I mean, he's done it every year when they've had losses that they shouldn't have had. He's been able to finish out, decently strong. But I think, you know what, if I'm Marcus Freeman and going into that game, you have to fucking nut up and talk to your men like men. You have to look at them and tell them, this is how we set the tone. This is where we show people who the fuck Notre Dame is. Go out there, hit them square in the jaw, put them in their place, and fucking show toughness. If we're a team built in the trenches, go out there and be fucking tough. And if that's the way they go out there, and they go out there hitting, and they go out there making plays, I think it could be a long day for Texas A&M. But if they come in timid, if they come in, trying to finesse it, trying to just not lose, it's going to be a tough matchup. And so I don't disagree at all that it could set the tone for the year. And I think, and I'll say, if they go out there and they win week one, if they win in any sort of dominating fashion by 10 points or more, I'm telling you right now, I might put money on it. I think Notre Dame runs the table if they do that. If they go out there, they punch them in the face, they go out there and show Notre Dame is here to fucking compete on the biggest stage in college football, and they go out there and they play a pretty flawless game, I think they carry that momentum with them through the entire season. And as long as they don't get derailed by injuries or something like that, I think they run the table. They run through the entire scope of their schedule. They're gonna have another tough one in Florida State, and then USC is never easy. USC is the one that I have circled every year. If you don't go out and beat USC, I don't really care what you did the rest of the year. But I think you just have to nut up, man. You have to go out there and you have to tell them, listen, man, this is what we're here for. You came to Notre Dame for moments like this. This is what we're playing for. Let's go out there. Let's get the job done. And let's start our march onto the playoffs. And let's show them that, you know what, Notre Dame's back for real.
And in moving on down the schedule, like is with you, and I totally agree with that, because they have got to establish a toughness. This is a different type of Notre Dame team, built on physicality, not finesse, like Brian Kelly.
Well, yeah, and I think if it is that, which is what we are told it is, then you got to go out and show it.
100%. And then moving down the schedule, Notre Dame's at home against Northern. I got that checked off as in the W column, and I'll pencil it in now as A&M as a W.
Okay,
Purdue,
I like
Purdue is Purdue, but the caveat is I consider that a 50-50 game, the Texas A&M game.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It's a 50-50. So, and it's probably, I could argue that outside of USC and Florida State is probably the biggest game. It's got an argument because week one sets a tone.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Those are by far the three biggest games they have. Now they can't overlook anybody and get sloppy, but those three games are going to determine the season.
Yes, and then Miami of Ohio, that's a W, and then the game that nobody is going to talk about that I do not like on this schedule is Louisville at Notre Dame Stadium, because I think Brom can coach some football.
Yeah, I agree. I just think after what happened to Notre Dame last year in the Louisville game, after coming out with I think it was their 4th straight night game on prime time, and they lose the way they did to Louisville, got manhandled. Marcus Freeman has that one circled. He knows that game cannot be overlooked.
So I think Notre Dame gets it done there. And then I did look up the betting odds on Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M
minus 1.5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
A&M, A&M minus 1.5. So, we will continue to monitor that going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford, that's a home game. Stanford, I don't think they got the dogs. A lot of kids transferred out after that really good game, that comeback victory in Colorado. And then you've got Georgia Tech, which this game is interesting to me because it's not at Tech, it's in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's on a
it's not a neutral site, but yeah, they do that because they know Notre Dame travels, man. They need to put it in the big show. They get a chance to have Notre Dame in Atlanta. They're going to put them in Mercedes-Benz.
And then another neutral site game is Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've counted those last two as W's. And then a 50-50 game is Florida State.
Yep, I agree with that.
Because Florida State, all their struggles, the last 2 years with Florida State have came on the road. Like Clemson had them on the ropes last year. If Klubnik doesn't have that strip sack, if he doesn't get strip sacked, Clemson wins that game, and also cost me a little loot in the pocket that week. So
and then nobody's upset when Florida State doesn't get into the playoffs.
Exactly, because they would have had one loss and it would all worked out, and it would have just been fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Dabo.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue.
But I have a lot on that situation, but we'll save that for another day. Florida State to me is a 50-50 game, and if Notre Dame comes out and can dominate like I think they can, because Florida State's going to have a brand new starting quarterback in going to South Bend in early November on a Saturday. You could potentially be looking at a night game.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I believe it will be. I think especially if both teams come in undefeated or with one loss, and there's no reason it won't be.
Because Notre Dame's going to be ranked in what, top 15?
Probably, yeah.
In good end, probably top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think, being realistically, I think Notre Dame's ceiling is probably number 10, and Florida State's going to be probably 7 or 8.
Probably. I mean, if they're both undefeated, I think you'll see them both top 10.
So potentially, if everything rolls out the way I think it could roll out, you could potentially have, like a 6 versus a 3, somewhere in that realm of the high, a huge ranked game at the end of the year. And since it's at home, I like Notre Dame to win that game.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like you said, I think it's 50-50 right now. Obviously, this is all before we even see fall camp, before we see any games. So it could all change by the time November 9th rolls around. But yeah, I agree. I think it's 50-50. I think Notre Dame has the edge because it's at home. But I think Florida State has the playmakers and the athletes to give Notre Dame problems if they aren't on their game.
And there's just something about playing in South Bend that there's a mystique and some things.
You look up and there's touchdown Jesus right there. What do you mean? Of course there's a mystique, man. You got the grotto, the dome, touchdown Jesus, rubbing Newt Rockney's nose. I mean, there's no place like South Bend, Indiana, man.
And yes, that is a true statement. And strange things happen there when you're a highly ranked team. Strange things happen there. Ask Jimmy Johnson about that.
Yes, sir.
some people call it a bad call, but the ref made a call. Sorry, Miami. Things happened.
Catholics get the benefit of the doubt over criminals. All right.
That is a true statement. Army, Shamrock series. I think that's going to be really cool to see Notre Dame and Army square off in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I agree.
I if it wasn't
I
so
will
close,
say I hate football games in baseball stadiums. They're never good. Like the games are fine, but like if you go to one, you have terrible view of the field. It's awkward. I don't like them, but it'll be a cool environment, on TV where I'll be watching it from. I'm not going to fucking New York City, that's for sure. Um, it'll be
yeah,
cool. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, I'm out. I wouldn't even. I think Northwestern plays Ohio State at Wrigley this year. Like,
yeah,
like it.
and
Th-
Wrigley might
those
be the worst to play a football game in.
I just. I'm just.
Yeah,
Why do we build football stadiums? That is the
well,
question. But anyway,
yeah.
moving on. Rivalry weekend, the biggest game on the year. I have Notre Dame going undefeated up until this point, and this is the game out of every game I feel more confident playing Florida State at home than I do going on the road to
Oof.
SC.
That's a take right there, man. I don't disagree. I just think SC's has a lot of unknowns, um, and I'll be honest, Lincoln Riley not a real good track record against Notre Dame.
No, and
And
I'm gonna.
if their magic man or magic woman Caleb couldn't get it done last year and threw 3 picks in 7 minutes or whatever, I don't know if their quarterback this year will be able to do it. So we'll see. But continue. Tell me why do you think it's such a? I agree. I don't think it's a gimme. I'm not picking Notre Dame to win big, but I feel pretty confident Notre Dame can go out to Los Angeles and get that done.
I'm. I guess I might be the first person to put it on wax this year, but I have Notre Dame as a 12-0
Ooh,
regular season.
look at that! I love it, dog. Yeah. Listen,
And
there's definitely a possibility that happens. Their schedule sets up pretty nicely for them. Kind of they get a bye week before Florida State, which is huge. That helps. So we'll see. I definitely think that's possible, and I haven't seen anybody do it since 2018 when Brian Kelly went 12-0 in the regular season and then lost in the playoffs. But I think they have the talent to do it. It's all going to come down to that quarterback position, man. If Riley Leonard comes in and is what Notre Dame thinks he can be, they have an opportunity to do it. If he comes in and struggles, it's going to be tough to get out of there 10-2.
I think the big thing that Notre Dame is going to need, like you said, is the production side of the quarterback play, because it
Mm-hmm.
is just too inconsistent right now. And I think their two biggest games are SC and A&M because they're both on the road.